Well, good evening. This is Wayne Albright, and I thought I'd get on this evening, Tuesday evening, December 30th, and we're closing out the year of 2025 in the next day or so, and entering 2026. And this briefing will cover the first weekend of 2026 and into or through the first week of 2026. Um, there might seem to be not a lot going on in the weather overall to most people, but there are some subtle things that are taking place, and I'll go over those as we go through this briefing tonight. So we'll start with my technology skills sometimes, but it's a cold night or a cold evening. Temperatures in the mid and upper 20s in all of the area of the mid-Atlantic. We have some scattered clouds across Virginia, North Carolina, and there's the typical west-northwest flow clouds up in Pennsylvania, especially in the mountains down into West Virginia. Let's look at the wind this evening. That was a big factor today. It has died down considerably from Virginia on south, and from Washington, D.C. on north and northeast. It still remains breezy with wind speeds at or above 15 miles an hour. And there'll be some added chill with that wind, but a cold night expected across the area. I'm watching a disturbance in the upper levels coming out of the lower Great Lakes, and that will be diving to the southeast overnight, and then out off the coast early in the morning. And I will get into that in the next few minutes. But otherwise, a cold night coming up, and not a lot going on precipitation-wise. There's a little bigger area of snow out here in Indiana, in Illinois, near Lake Michigan, but not a lot farther to the east. So I will highlight what we're going to talk about, or what I'm going to talk about. And this will go from tomorrow, Wednesday, December 31st, to about January 6th, next Tuesday, I believe. And seasonable chill through most of the period. The weak disturbance that I brought up just now will be diving to the southeast overnight and be moving across the D.C., Maryland into southern New Jersey early Wednesday morning. Little snow accumulation is expected, but there could be some slick spots with primarily some snow showers possible with that from D.C. on northeast into New Jersey. As we go through Wednesday into Thursday, a low pressure and a cold front will sweep across the lakes in New England. Scattered snow showers and squalls are expected with that system. Central and southern Pennsylvania and West Virginia and central Maryland. And mainly coatings of snow are possible. Locally heavier amounts possible in the mountains and into New England with that system. And if there's a heavier squall, travel could be impacted, especially in the mountains during the day Wednesday afternoon and into Wednesday evening, it looks like. Dry weather, Virginia on south through the Carolinas. And then attention will turn to Saturday into Sunday as weak low pressure tracks across the Carolinas and off the coast. Most of the region, especially Virginia north, should stay dry. Rain looks like is the better precipitation type in North Carolina and South Carolina. There is a little bit in the guidance that suggests some of that precipitation does nudge a little farther north into Virginia, especially southern Virginia, as it tracks by on Saturday into Saturday night. Probabilities are low at this time as the bulk of the precipitation looks to stay south. And the continued isolated scattered snow showers in the lakes and the mountains of Pennsylvania and West Virginia during the weekend. And then yet another clipper system in the northern stream by Monday may bring isolated and scattered snow to areas in western and central Pennsylvania. We can't seem to get out of that pattern that we are now in after the milder pattern that we just had. So we're going almost right back to what we had in early to mid-December. Maybe not quite as extreme as that, but systems will be coming across, especially in the north, every 1 to 2 or 3 days. And then after that, after January 6th, which I believe is next Tuesday, the pattern relaxes into the following weekend, and chances of precipitation remain generally low until later next week and the weekend. So let's go forward here. I was sent something today. I'll start this off. And just want to point this out. As we go into the winter time, this is not uncommon to see anymore in this era of social media. And I just want to caution about these kind of things being posted on social media. And I will show you why that is. And you should just rely on trusted weather sources like your local media, the National Weather Service, and professional meteorologists. This kind of stuff runs rampant, and as we go deeper into winter, there will be many, many, many occurrences of this online. Hype drives it. They're not professional meteorologists, a lot of these people that send this stuff. And I will show you here why you should use caution when you see stuff like this. Let me see. I'm going to show that time frame that I just had there on the screen. It says the 7th through the 10th. This person is showing the GFS model from, I believe, yesterday. Well, I'm going to go back and look at the trends here in these models, and I'm going to start 2 days ago with the same model and how you should use caution when you see stuff like this. This is the model run of the GFS from 2 days ago, the 28th. As you can see, it was depicting during the core of that time, the 7th into the 10th, generally high pressure over the eastern part of the United States. There's a hint at a storm trying to form in the Midwest and some moisture coming out of the Gulf. And as we progress to the next model run, oh, well, now there's a storm coming through the middle Atlantic, but it's a rainstorm, okay? We go to another model run that is 12 hours later, or 6 hours later, and we're back to high pressure. We go another 6 hours. We're getting into that. We're still in that time frame. We still have high pressure sitting across that area. Okay, and then we go to another 6 hours, and this is the 29th in the morning. This is yesterday morning's run. Generally, a little low comes through, it looks like, on this model run, and drier weather comes in. Then we get to the afternoon run yesterday, and that is where this graphic is coming from. Out of nowhere, I have just showed you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 other runs that had nothing like this during that time. All of a sudden, wham, there it is. But guess what? 6 hours later, it's not really there anymore. And we go another 6 hours in the model, and we have a totally different solution. We have low pressure back out in the Midwest, high pressure bridging in, and no big storm. And we get to today, and we are back to high pressure. So again, I will state, be cautious about what you see online. There are a lot of postings of model runs with little knowledge or experience at how to handle that type of information. So, as we go forward here, I will get back to this forecast. As we go forward, I will use the GFS here with this briefing. This is right now. We're generally with low pressure in eastern Canada. Strong northwest winds have brought colder air into the east in the last 24 hours. Big drops in temperatures and dew points. It's been very dry today. And there's a little hint of the system coming through in the morning. It's a little better if I look at the European. There's a little bit more stuff there in the morning. That's why I'm saying there's something potential there in the morning. I'll go back to the GFS here. And then that system clears. And then we have low pressure going through the northeast Wednesday afternoon, Wednesday into Wednesday night, early Thursday. And it does look a little squally up here in Pennsylvania as that colder secondary push comes through. This is the type of thing that potentially I see something out of Interstate 80 with near whiteout conditions for a short period of time, or in the West Virginia mountains. And then that goes through New England early Thursday, and colder air comes back in or reinforces itself into the northeast. But overall, generally dry weather as we begin 2026 across the mid-Atlantic region on Thursday, outside of the typical west-northwest flow lakes, clouds, and scattered snow showers. We see our system developing in the south, tracking across the Carolinas. This is the GFS for Saturday. Keeps the rain well south, while the European does trend it a little, or clip it a little north into southern Virginia. There's a little pink there. Maybe there's a little wintry precipitation in this model. But as we'll see on the ensembles, there's a little support for it on the European, but a lot of the models keep the precipitation south of Virginia. These are individual runs of the same time. The model is run several times and gives different solutions. And each one of these is depicting those different solutions based on that model run. So you can see not a lot, there's some support for it, but not a lot. So as a meteorologist, you kind of lean toward the most favored. But you keep in mind that there are a few outliers in here. So that system goes through, goes off the coast, high pressure returns, a little windy potentially at the coast, especially on Saturday night into Sunday. We'll go back to the GFS here. System exits and high pressure returns, and still a continued stream of disturbances into the northeast from the Great Lakes and south central Canada. Keep the cold air in, especially central and northern areas. A little bit of moderation in the southeast. There is something that tries to clip in on Monday up north. The European is showing that. Whoops, I don't know what happened there. That's not good. Global, there we go. And we need to go back. This is technology for you. All right, so that system right there is coming through the lakes a little stronger on Sunday night into Monday, with possible area of snow or snow showers into northern Pennsylvania and New York State, while the GFS does not have that really. But there's still some moisture there, and probably some at least isolated snow showers up in the lakes and in the mountains, Pennsylvania up into New York State, and high pressure early next week. Signs of a little bit of moderation the middle of next week, and with that, as the moderation occurs, something may develop ahead of that milder trend across Pennsylvania and into the northeast, as far as some light wintry precipitation as high pressure retreats. The cold air is retreating, and there's a little surge of milder air into the eastern part of the United States. So something to be aware of the middle of next week. Right now, a couple models have it. Many are not that enthused about it, but maybe similar situation to what just happened as it turned milder over before this weekend, or as the weekend was approaching. There was that little event that came through Pennsylvania and into the Northeast with some pretty good snow in New York State and into Northeast Pennsylvania, and some ice in central Pennsylvania. Not sure how strong this will be, but I'm just mentioning that as a possibility. And as we get into next weekend, moderation continues with a milder period and maybe some moisture in the form of, looks like rain, heading into next weekend. So you can see there are some things going on, not a lot of precipitation in the next week or so, especially the farther south you go outside of Saturday across the Carolinas. Not much down there, maybe even into central Virginia. A lot of the systems affect northern areas the next week or so with mainly light precipitation. Let's see here. We'll go to the MGO, my friend. The MGO is basically stuck in the null phase or the neutral phase. It's been stuck there for a while, so it's not really much of an influence on the weather pattern that's going on. The teleconnections have shown what's really happening. The NAO has been shifted strongly negative, thus the return of the colder air, just like it did in December. Well, it's shown it again as we head into the last few days of December and into the first part of January. And then there's a trend back toward neutral, which should relax the overall pattern. And with the negative P&A continuing basically with the zonal flow, that looks like a moderating trend is likely for during the first week and into the first week or the second weekend of 2026. My friend, the MJO does wake up. It looks like it's still forecast to wake up by week 2 in January and be in 2 and 3 and maybe 4 by that time. So after we do moderate into next weekend, maybe it trends colder again. So do we get into 4 and 5? I'm not sure, but you know, the colder does relax. Does it fully go into 4 and 5, or does it rotate and stay weak and stay back into this area, phase 1 and 2, or 2 and 3, and just twirl around and not have much influence? Not exactly sure about that, but again, you can see some of the guidance with the MJO does hint at the warmer phases, which are 4, 5, and 6 next week, and then start trending a little bit back toward neutral or toward the colder or end of a milder pattern for the second week of January. So something to pay attention to, but the cold weather now does relax, it looks like, and we'll see if the signs continue to try and pull the colder air back after next weekend into the second week of January. So other than that, I'll conclude here. The colder weather has returned. We've definitely felt it in the last 24 hours, and it'll stay over the region. It looks like through early next week. I don't know why I say into the first full week of 2026. The strongly negative NAO that we are presently experiencing has brought the colder air, but will relax. And with it, the P&A stays basically negative. And that suggests zonal flow across the United States for the most part, with a moderating or relaxation of the cold air across most of the eastern part of the United States. Cannot guarantee the Great Lakes in New England. They're a little more difficult. But I think most of the region that this briefing is for, central Pennsylvania on south, there will be a moderating trend in temperatures. And we can see that in some of the guidance here. This is Harrisburg. By the middle and end of next week, there is some moderation forecast. And that's been the case, They've been showing, oh, there's a 65 by January 11th. I don't know if I'd get that excited about that, but there is some moderation that does tend to occur toward the end of next week in that area. And as you go farther south, you can see it across Virginia, moderating trend after the colder. It does moderate into next week, especially later in the week. And then there's this, I don't know if that's right or not. that's a little ambitious. That is a little ambitious for next weekend in Central Virginia. This trend's probably more likely. I will go back to this since I didn't show it in the first place. This is up in Harrisburg. You see there is a trend toward a little moderation toward the end of next week. Again, the farther north, as was this last warm-up, the farther north you are, the more difficult warmer or milder air is. And definitely up into New England and the Great Lakes, I'd be a little cautious. But I think from Virginia on south, there will be, and Maryland, there will be a moderating trend even into southern Pennsylvania for a brief period of time. And that's what the Teleconnections suggest with this negative NAO trending neutral and the PNA staying basically negative with suggesting a zone of flow. There are no major winter storms, at least that I've seen, forecast at least into early next week. But there may be a wintry precipitation event across Pennsylvania, Maryland, or West Virginia as it moderates in temperature the middle of next week. And again, I do want to emphasize the MJO is still forecast to come to life. It's not really alive right now or showing anything, but by the second week of January, at least into phases 2 and 3, is that a sign of colder weather returning for at least the middle of January. And this is a La Nina, so hanging on to colder weather for long periods of time is difficult, especially the farther south you go in the eastern part of the United States. So that's the general trends. We need to stay warm the next few days and into next week. There'll be a little bit of moderation and should be generally a dry pattern, little episodes across the north with some little bit of snow possible at a few times. But overall, it's not looking like any major winter storms to worry about. So again, that's it for this evening. Pardon my technical difficulties with screens. I've got several of them up here and I'm trying to maneuver them around. So I'm not as proficient at it as I used to be since I retired. So I have difficulties sometimes. So anyway, everybody have a safe New Year celebration or time going into the new year, and be safe and stay warm. And probably won't get back to a briefing until after the new year begins on Thursday. So might wait till the end of the week or the weekend before getting another one out, unless things really change going forward. But I'm pretty confident right now that this is the way it looks like. Just be aware in the morning, especially Maryland, DC on north and northeast toward Philadelphia, southern New Jersey. There might be some light precipitation, wintry precipitation early in the morning. So other than that, I will talk to you next time, and Happy New Year.